The builders of the new REM boast that the train is fully accessible to passengers in wheelchairs, but advocates say that's only partially true. The challenge for many is actually getting to the train stations in the first place. Advocates say many of the buses to the new light rail service are not equipped for wheelchairs, and there are more troubles when you try and get in and out of the station. Stephen Laperrière joins us on the line, General Manager and of the Disability Advocacy Group, RAPLIQ. Stephen, welcome to the show. Do we have Stephen? Stephen, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Oh, great, Stephen. Thanks for joining us on the show. So why don't you go through what are the challenges that you and other mobility and accessibility advocates are seeing as you try and use the REM?
Well, the first challenge is definitely, without a doubt, the elevator at the central station. It's been not working for close to 3 weeks now, and in such a neuralgic space, when it comes to public transit, it's unacceptable that you have to wait three weeks before an escalator works, because the consequence of that is that people with mobility issues, whether it's wheelchair or other mobility issues, cannot use the REM, or worse, if they leave from Nuns Island, just like it happened to one of our friends, he needs to come back home, take the train the opposite way to come back home and use his car, which is absolutely not the point of the REM. And he pays his Opus card just like anybody else, so he's denied service. And how can we explain that an elevator needs 3 weeks to be repaired in such an important point of travel in Montreal? It doesn't make sense. And as you said, the other issue is the buses. In one of the service problems they've had in the first week, one lady with her carriage, she's not handicapped. She has a baby in her carriage. She had to wait for like 45 to 50 minutes to get an accessible bus. And in that lapse of time, there were 6 or 7 buses that passed by that were not able to take her on. And nobody's there to offer any kind of help. Can we believe that in 2023 on a brand new service? And one of the spokesperson from the REM said that, well, we know that our buses are not at all accessible. We'll get that fixed by 2025. I mean, come on, the service is on now. You need to fix that right now. At least one bus out of 2 has to be accessible. How can we explain that? It doesn't make sense.
Especially, Stephen, in light of the fact that all of the previous services to get people from the South Shore to downtown, they're no longer allowed on the Champlain Bridge, right? They completely changed the bus service. The REM is the only thing you can use, right, for a whole bunch of people on the South Shore now. So,
well, absolutely, and you've probably heard or read stories about people that have to change their ways on a daily basis to take the REM, and now they have to take their cars to the REM station, whereas before they did not have to do that. Mm-hmm. So now they have to take their cars, which is not the point. You don't want to take you don't want to take your car. So now you have to take your car, go to the REM station, and hope it works. And if you're disabled, you hope the escalators work. You hope the elevator works. Because if they don't, you have to turn back to the use of your car.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the elevator for a second at Central Station, because this to me is unbelievable, right? Like the Central Station, arguably the most important station for the REM right now. It's the one in downtown, and Absolutely. The elevator's not working now. Stephen, I've heard people say, well, they should have built 2 elevators because you need to have a backup, right? Elevators go down all the time. Counterpoint is elevators are so expensive. I would love your thoughts on this. Like, if they had one, if they have one elevator but it's in service, is that enough, or should there always be 2 just because they go down so often?
In an ideal world, you have 2. Mm-hmm. for sure. But we're not in an ideal world, so it may be hard to build a second one. So if we take that for granted, then if you have only one elevator, why can it be fixed when problems arise? Because it's obvious it's mechanic, and sometimes things will break. I get that. What's an acceptable time frame for a repair to be done? I mean, can't we have spare parts? And if we do not have spare parts, you can do a lot of things now in machine shops with 3D printings and what have you. There are many ways that you can palliate for mechanical problems. So why can't we have a dedicated technician or company that's there within the hour that analyzes the problem, gets the part, and gets it fixed within a reasonable time frame? What's a reasonable time frame? Mm-hmm. For many people, it's 24 to 48 hours. For me, a reasonable time frame is 4 to 6 hours, because this is such an important point for people with disabilities that it needs to be fixed fast. Because if you don't fix it fast, what are you going to do? Mm-hmm. And especially if your shuttle buses that you put in place are not accessible. So you need to organize that, and that's not being done right now.
So, Stephen, we tackled the many of the buses aren't accessible that lead to the REM. The elevators and escalators so far have not been stellar at all. They've been quite far from it. And then the other thing I want to talk to you about, I've also heard that connecting from the REM to other modes of the public transit network in Montreal, like the metro, isn't very easy either for those that are in a wheelchair who have other mobility issues, right? Is that also a problem? Once you're off the REM and you want to get on the metro, is it doable?
Well, it's doable in some cases, but in some other cases it's very hard, because like most of the subway system, actually, let me retake that. All of the subway system hasn't been thought about for people with mobility issues. So in some cases, it's doable. If you can get off your wheelchair and walk a few steps, you can probably get by in most of the times. But if you can't, you're stuck there. You're stuck between a ramp that's really too steep, or you're stuck in front of steps that you cannot do anything with. So you have to turn back and head back home. So it's really difficult. It's not thought about, and you know, when you build something like that costs so much, why can't you think about things like that? Yeah. And the REM is saying that they've consulted many organizations, and us, we were in those consultations for the train itself, and we went to the consultation for the Brassard terminal before they opened last spring, and we've made some recommendations, and I'll be glad to send them to you. We made some recommendations, and none of them were taken into consideration. So when we asked them, well, why did we go there? Mm-hmm. Why did you not take those into consideration? The answer is, well, guys, make complaints and we'll retrofit.
It's Stephen, we're going to have to leave it there, but it is unbelievable with how much the REM said we planned, we tested to avoid issues when we launched, and yet they've launched and they have these issues. Stephen, thanks for coming on. Great discussing with you.
Thank you very much.
Stephen Laperrière is General Manager of RAPLIQ, the Disability Advocacy Group.